Hello, my name is Joey Jimenez. I'm president of Premier Car Club. This is my Rivi.
How you doing? My name is Cesar Piedra from Riverside, California. I'm owner-operator of Freight Train Customs, and this is one of the paint jobs that we came up with. Joey had an idea, and he brought me the car, and he kind of let me run with it.
First thing I told him, I wanted it all blues. I don't want it to really kick off in different colors. Cesar did it perfect.
Hey everybody, this is the Wire Down Show. I am Joe Ray. We have two very special guests. One is a painter. They're both from separate car clubs. We got a story to tell like always, but we have a proud sponsor. Coker Tires, 52014 and 13s. Premium sport tires are the way to roll, just like this beautiful Riviera right here. I'm going to introduce you to two special guests. We're going to start off with the owner of this 1967 Buick Riviera. Go ahead, Joey.
Hello, my name is Joey Jimenez. I'm president of Premier Car Club from Los Angeles. This is my 67 Riviera. There's some changes that I've done to the car. I changed the grille. I prefer the 66 grille. And as far as modifications, I took the vents out of the cowl, shaved the door handles, shaved the trunk. It's running on two spokes with the Coker tires. As far as the interior, it's the straddle seat from Buick, and I just changed the color to work with the outside color. And of course, it's on hydraulics. Hydraulic provided by Homies Hydraulics.
So you're doing a moonroof in there, right?
Yeah, it's got a 44 Moon, and it had it done in Los Angeles.
They almost cost as much as to find one of these today, right?
Yeah.
I heard they get installed for about 10 grand now.
Yeah.
You may have lucked out a few years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not too much you have to do to these cars because they already came advanced, even for this time.
Some cars you don't really want to touch. This design, I'm a fan of the second gen Riviera. I just like the space age kind of look. They look beautiful when they're laying, and that's the way I kind of feel about it. The other people like the first gen.
The car goes perfect, man, with the paint job and the color choice. You want to introduce us to your painter over here and let him take us on tour?
This is my painter, Cesar.
How you doing? My name is Cesar Piedra from Riverside, California. I'm owner-operator of Freight Train Customs. I'm in Group Car Club Inland Empire chapter for about 15 years. Tattoo member, and I've been painting cars for about 20 years. Probably been painting stuff since I was 15 years old. So I started with lowrider bikes to lowrider cars, and this is one of the paint jobs that we came up with. Joey had an idea, and he brought me the car, and he kind of let me run with it. I know he just wanted the top part done. So what we did is some pattern paint job on here. The car came to me base coated already, so I just did the paint on it, the patterns. And what I did was they call it an over and under paint job. So these patterns, they kind of, they're layers, but they go over and under, and a little bit of airbrushing we did on it. So it gives it that three-dimensional look. So what I did is, I did all the masking off. So we did a flake base coat on it. And then this has a teal candy on the border, and this is a teal pearl in the middle, and this is a baby blue pearl from House of Color, and this is a teal pearl with a little bit of silver added into it from also House of Color. And the blue pearl is kind of a custom mix that I made. I took some paint and kind of make my own colors sometimes to get the effect that I'm looking for. But a little, techniques that we use is the airbrushing to give it that three-dimensional look. And you don't want to get it too busy, so what you do is you thin it out to give it that effect where it's just kind of floating above, and it takes a lot of hours and a lot of practice. And luckily Joey gave me the free range to do something like this. It does take a while. Probably worked on this paint job for about 3 months. I probably unmasked it like 5 times because it was just couldn't get the right patterns, but I love the body style on the Buick Riviera. It does give you a lot to work with. I love the body lines, and every car that you paint, when you're doing patterns, to me, the car will talk to you because you don't really have you have an idea, but how to put it onto a canvas, it's one thing. You can take this same pattern and you put it on a 63 Impala and it's just not going to work, you know? So you got to have the car and the paint job and the pattern kind of, you know, mesh together. And so you got to take your time, do some research. There was a 68 convertible, I believe from Imperials, that Walt Prey painted. And that's kind of where I came up with the idea of the over and unders. I'm really big fan of old painters' work, especially we try to go with that 70s style. And we used a lot of that techniques, you know, like I said, the fades, the pearls, and the flakes. So this has a little bit of everything: the pearl flakes, candies, all the above is done on this. You know, it looks a little complicated, and I guess it is, but from doing a whole car to doing the top of the car, it definitely cuts down because you'd be a year probably doing a whole car sometimes. You just never know, but you got to have free reins. Like when we came to this side of the car, I had already masked it off and it looked good. I just didn't like the way it came out. So I had to I spent probably 9 hours masking this car off. So I actually had to unmask it and redo it. And this is what we came up with. My friend E-Dog at E-Dog Customs did all the pinstriping on it. And, you know, he gave me some, you know, pointers that I needed when I was doing this. So for the youngsters, there's a little pointer when you're doing these patterns, you get to the edges. An easy way is to make a little template out of paper and you kind of do the corner to match. So when you're doing the tape line, you kind of can go up to them and make sure that all the corners are the same. You know, once you do it a lot of times, you'll get the hang of it. It's kind of like handwriting. You know, your corners are going to flow a certain way, but if you want to check it, that's what you do is you make a little pattern to kind of, you know, it's kind of like a cheat pattern to make sure that they all line up the same. So when you look at certain cars, you're like, man, why does that look so uniform? Those are the kind of the techniques that you do. I mean, you know, you got to measure everything out, and it takes time by doing that. It takes hours and hours, you know. And so when you get an idea to be able to put it on a car and make it come to life, it's really rewarding. It's something that, you know, you live with in your mind and you try to get it onto the canvas, you know, but not a lot of people are going to trust you with, you know, this kind of car, this kind of money, and this kind of work, you know, and especially, you know, this Ribby's going to be, you know, he's the president of Premier Car Club. So I know everyone's going to see this. So it's really important that we, you know, knock it out of the park. But also, you know, I like working with other clubs. I like working with other cars. You know, I do Volkswagens to customs to lowriders to, you know, pedal cars. It doesn't matter. That's how you get better doing repetition over and over again. The more you do it, the better you're at it. You know, no one, you know, you can't really read this stuff in the book. You got to learn it firsthand. But there is avenues out there nowadays like podcasts to get, you know, some tips, get some ideas, and really ask questions. Because a lot of the stuff when I was learning, it was just trial by error, you know. But now you're able to reach out to certain people, and I'll tell you what, even the old timers, even the grumpiest guys, you go there and you pick their brains, they'll definitely help you out.
How does a customer, president of a car club, premier car club, not the name premier, but a premier car club like that, walk up, come to your shop and tell you this is what I want? Pretty much it was the color you asked and then you guys worked it out. Is it something that you saw? How do you collaborate with the customers most of the time? Because you're going to get some that don't know what they want. This guy does.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny you say that because you almost have to give the customer what they don't know what they want, you know, because they have an idea, but when you put it on the car, it just doesn't mesh. Joey actually, he came to me and he actually started laying some tape down, and I was like, "That's not going to work, man." I pulled it off, and you know, and he was really involved, but it got to a point where it's like, "Hey, just let me do a couple things and then come and check it," and then he did. So you kind of have to, you know, work with the customer because they don't. You're trying to explain it to them, they can't see it, and that's very difficult. You know, you have an idea in my mind, I can see it done. You know, you're trying to convey that to the customer, but now that I have some, you know, paint jobs under my belt, they're going to come to me and they're going to see this and that. I want something like that. What does that cost? But yeah, it's when you're going back and forth with the customer, I just kind of give them you know, pick out something you like, something that's similar. We can come up with our own ideas, but pick out something, because all this stuff has been done. Like if you're saying, where it's like an homage to the 70s. So you look at these cars, and that's where you come up with some ideas. You're like, I like some of this, and I like some of that. Could we, put that on my car? What kind of colors do you like? Do you like, the lace? Do you like fades? Do you like tape fades? Do you like the fingerprinting? Like, what would you like on your car? And we can incorporate that. But yeah, it is sometimes you kind of have to just put it on the car for them to actually see it, because it's hard for especially a someone that's not a car guy, supposedly like build cars every day, to really be able to explain to you what they want. You kind of have to show them, hey man, this is the way it's going to look better on your car than the idea that you have. I understand what you're coming from, and I'll incorporate that, but I know it's going to look good on the car. Like I was saying, that just because it looks good on this Rivi doesn't mean it's going to look good on your 64 Impala. So, that's kind of something that you kind of talk to the customer about and see if we can, meet in the middle.
What's very unique about this car is you did go in within the body, like a coloring book. You stayed within the lines and you followed everything up. The pearl, the color of the pearl that complements the rest of these colors. But I mean, you just didn't over exaggerate the car, because if you would add in patterns down here, it would have been another paint job. And it really complements, you gave enough room for that teal pearl to kick off and complement the rest of the car. And it's different, of course, but I thought when I first saw this car, I go, okay, wow, oh, hey. Then I had to really focus on the paint job when I saw it on a video one time, Joey, and I thought, man, that is just enough. You had the right touch, the right amount of class to put on this car. But that pearl on there that kicks off this whole car is what makes this car. Not to say all the hours of work and the money or whatever it costed. What is the pearl?
The base pearl is a teal pearl. It's a beautiful paint. And so when we came up with the idea, he just wanted the top. So we did the top, but once we did that, we're like, we need to add something over here, but we didn't want it to go all the way down, because this pearl is really beautiful in the sun. It really shines. I mean, pearls you can see from space, so they're really, they like the sun. So you want to cover up too much, and yeah, we had to incorporate some of the teal pearls and candies into it to kind of get it to mesh, because you didn't want to, put too much of a contrast on this paint job. You didn't want to put like pearls or orange or something like that in it. I mean, if we were doing the whole car, then you probably would. But when you're just doing the top, then you're just doing a little bit on the side. You don't want to get too busy. I mean, it does look busy, but like when we came up to this part, when I came up to this part and made this pattern, I was trying to see, okay, what can we blend it in? But it's not exact, because there's nothing on this side to blend it into. So it's kind of have to be on its own, but still match the side. So, we spent some time making this design. So once I got this design, then I was able to come up to this design and incorporate it that way, And then when we came up to the roof was really tricky, because I taped it out one way and it just seemed like it was off a little bit. So what I had to do was, I started from one end and then started from another end and then met in the middle. And I said, I came up with the pattern in the middle. Okay, now this mesh is a little better, because if I just had it going straight all the way, it just didn't look right. So I kind of added this fade up top to kind of blend it into the trunk, So there's a lot of subtle touches that, you really have to study the car to really see. But that's me as a painter. I go to car shows and I study paint jobs. I'm not there to critique anybody. I'm just there to, observe people's techniques and their colors, their use of colors, the size of the tape, the way that, they measure out their cars, and yeah, everyone has their own techniques. Like I say, it's kind of like handwriting,
It's constantly, but you're constantly learning, right, as you go on, because you're still pretty young. How long have you been painting?
Oh, I've been painting about 20 years, but I've been probably working on cars since I was 15 years old, So yeah, every job, every car, you want to you want to push yourself. You want to learn more. You want to be better. So this career over here, there's no ending to it. There's not one day that you're going to walk over and be like, oh, I've done everything, I'm done. It just doesn't work that way. It's always evolving, and you want to push yourself. That's how I approach it. You want to push to your limits to see if you can do it. Did I say, oh, I can do that for sure? That's what I told Joey. But in my mind, I'm like, I hope I can do it, because I've never done this before, this extensive. I've done a handful of cars before this, but not to the level that he wanted to. And so I think we achieved what we wanted to, and even a little bit more. I was really happy with the product. And I mean, standing here with you guys right now is proof in that.
So are you pretty happy?
Yeah,
So did you
real.
vision it coming out exactly like this?
It's
This is
pretty,
what you
it's,
wanted?
this is, well, it wasn't my vision, but I'm glad Cesar did what he did. First thing I told him, I wanted it all blues. I don't want it to really kick off with different colors. Cesar did it perfect.
There you go. You have a nickname for the car already?
Yeah, yep.
Have you had any shows? You just broke out with it not too long ago, right?
Well, it's called Riviera Paradise,
Oh, yeah.
from the Stevie Ray Vaughan album.
Right on. Some good sounds too to go with this car. To get some more sounds, we're going to go over to Legends Lounge and continue this conversation. We'll talk a little bit about paint, some of the group. We want to hear about Premier Car Club just as well, Joey. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. We're going to go in and out of this car, and you're going to see all of it coming up real quick. Hey, guys, just so you know, this is one badass tire. Coker Tire has been working for years to build a perfect 520 tire, and the evolution of this tire was led entirely by the end consumer, which is us. Suggestions from customers led to many changes throughout the years, and the most recent improvements include all new tooling and molds, meaning that the ultimate lowrider tire just got better. Crisp sidewall lettering and perfect white wall size and location are the cosmetic features, and you can expect excellent performance out of this tire due to its 8-ply rating. The most significant feature of the new premium sport tire is the tread profile and defined shoulder, giving it the perfect look. This reimagined tire has the same great features you know and love, but with all new materials to ensure customer satisfaction. It has been years in the making, but believe us, it's worth a wait. You can order the new Premium Sport 52013 and 52014 now at cokertire.com. All right, everybody. So we rolled over to Legends Lounge to finish our story. Curious as I am, Premier. That's a great name for a car club. Joey, tell us a little bit about the club. How long have you guys been around?
Well, we're just celebrating our 25th anniversary. So we are composed of a lot of other members that came from other clubs, but I've been a member since the conception. Me and another guy were the ones that actually came up with the name, and we're a one chapter club.
Were you watching the Oscars, going to the show? Premier's an excellent name.
Well, Premier's just the name is something that's new and out,
Right.
and that's where Premier just fit in perfect.
You guys been one chapter the whole way.
Yes.
25 years is a long time. Everybody's scattered around Southern California.
Orange County, San Fernando Valley, and in Inland Empire.
So different other car clubs. Today there's more politics and more hate and greed now. It's hard for any car club, let alone chapters, multiply the headaches to get along. But sometimes when you leave one club and necessarily you leave to better things, you may start your own club. Who came up with the name and your plaques are Foundry?
Always Foundry plaques.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The design the whole way.
Design, actually, Danny D did our second plaque.
Mhm.
He did the design and got approval from the club.
And picking colors. I mean, did you guys all join up together and come up with a name then? Or a couple of you just started the name and then everybody jumped in?
Well, it was left up to about maybe 6 members that were really trying to come up with a name. And Premier seemed to be the name that was floating out around. And it's just a design of how we were going to build the plaque. It was a question how we did that. So, but I think we came to something we all liked.
So you got a bunch of all-stars from other car clubs that come together and sink in and start the club. 25 years is a long time already. You're the president now, you were saying, for about 10 years already,
Yes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a job and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
All the responsibilities and everything. Nobody ever understands those guys until they do the job if they can. How many cars have you owned in?
Probably owned about 8 cars.
And the first time you jump into a Riviera, huh?
First time I've gone into a Riviera, I had a Grand Prix, 70 Grand Prix, 67 Camaro, a lot of 62s, and a 56 Nomad.
Oh, wow. Not a bad choice.
Mhm.
The muscle cars are good. Nothing wrong with the Grand Prix. We don't see too many of those
The
anymore,
Grand
right?
Prix was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're badass cars, man.
Yeah.
Ahead of their time too. You and I were talking about your Riviera over here, and I remember the days if you go into all the history, you can Google the Riviera when they made the clay model. I think it was already in '64, and half of the car was built like at a school at GM. You saw that,
Mhm.
and they would make them out of clay, and half the car was that Riviera, and the other half was the Oldsmobile Toronado.
That's-
So they were interchangeable parts they were using for the windshield chrome molding, all the moldings for the car. And that's how they were doing it then. And an interesting fact that everybody knows that all of these cars were all concepts at the time. And that was supposed to be a family car and a sport car at that time, just like the Boattail that came after it. But the unique things about that Riviera right there, I still think that, and I switch around a lot, that's already a lowrider without lowering and putting wheels on it. That's just the way
There's
they
not
go.
much you can do to those cars.
They were supposed to come out front wheel drive along with the Eldorado and the Toronado, but they got so far behind that they let the Riviera escape with a rear wheel drive, which
Mhm.
was lucky because the
Mhm.
transformation, imagine there wouldn't be that many Rivieras out there if they were front wheel drive. But I mean,
That's true.
I can't say that you jumped around and completely made a 360 when you had a Nomad too. You
Yeah.
still have the Nomad or no?
No, the Nomad's gone.
A lot of money.
Unfortunately, something has to go to get something else. So
How does the club run? Pretty much that chain of command.
the chain of command acts pretty much like any other club. We've got president, vice president, and then members and a car committee. But we're a small club, so we're almost like a family club. That's what I like about Premier. We've had the years where we had a lot of politic problems, but we seem to have gone through that. Now we've weeded down to the guys that are really almost like your brothers. And I enjoy going to a meeting, going to car shows, hanging out with the guys.
That's cool. And for you, you're on the opposite end with a group in all their chapters. 55 years you guys have been around. A
That's
little bit
right.
louder, the group, huh? And longer. But with it comes its problems too. The unique thing here is you alienate yourself when you're from a car club and you're a custom painter. Because there's going to be a lot of guys out there. Well, I ain't going to have somebody from the group paint my car. I'm not going to have somebody from the Imperials do my upholstery. You know, you're loyal and you have a lot of pride with your own car club. So once you find somebody, because there's a lot of painters out there that won't join a car club because they might lose customers. But this was the unique thing about this podcast is that we're talking about custom painting and the history of your club. And I wanted to know all the cars that you painted for the group. And then I find out that that Riviera that we were talking about in our conversation, making appointments and schedules here, that you painted it and that he may bring the car. I go, heck yeah, if I could get Premier in here, yes, sold. So it was like killing two dogs with one stone, and then boom, in rolls this Riviera. So it's an interesting combo. Do you have that problem painting cars for other car clubs sometimes? Or you're
Uh,
just that good that they have no choice but to get online?
Yeah, there's only one game in town. No, I'm just playing. No, it's I think it speaks to where the Inland Empire is in representing for painters. Our car culture in Riverside and Inland Empire in general is a really good dynamic of a real brotherhood, if you will, of car community, not just lowriders, but Volkswagens to hot rods to customs to muscle cars. I'll paint it all. But where I grew up in Riverside, there's just an immense amount of talent that I grew up with. So everybody knows each other. So to paint a car for another club is not unusual from where I'm coming from. I understand maybe for other people, but I'm not here to grant any access for anybody, and everyone knows that I'm on the up and up. And our club, especially when it comes to business, that's where they keep it, is like business between you and the painter or your builders, and the club doesn't get involved in that. They make sure, I mean, they're not going to let you get burned or anything like that, but they're not there to say you can't take it there and you can't take it there. That's up to personal. If you don't want to take it to another club because of something that happened in 1987, hey, that's on you. But as far as the Inland Empire is concerned, is there's a lot of help that goes around for each other. Like if I need some paint, I mean, there's not a shortage of people that I can call up and I need some reducer or I need a hardener. So I think that speaks to me getting involved with a lot of different clubs over the years. I've been in a group, Inland Empire, for about 15 years. And, I've only been having positive experience, meeting other clubs, other members, and just the whole brotherhood that comes with it really comes through in our city. So no one's really sitting there saying, hey, I don't want to take my car because of that person or that person. I mean, some people do have their hangups, but what I try to do is just keep it, business wise. And, people understand, hey, you want to get it done right, you got to take it to the right place, and that sometimes you got to swallow your pride a little bit if that's what you think you have to do. But as far as my shop at Freight Train Customs, I mean, I do Volkswagens, muscle cars, lowriders, and everything in between.
The Inland Empire is a huge lowrider community all the way down the Riverside, even downtown. Everybody cruising back and forth. And the chapter that you're from, are you an officer in the club or no? You don't have that time, do you?
No, right now I'm not. I've been in the car community or the car committee for quite a bit. When I started, I was a president for a year. I've been the vice president for a couple of years, so I've been part of it. I've been, all aspects of the club I've been involved with, and I'm always there for them. So if they right now I'm not in the committee, but everyone knows that they need something done. They bring it over to their shop, and we'll hook them up. We'll help them out. You got a flat tire, you need a wheel bearing change, whatever it may be. So yeah, I've definitely done a lot of work for the club as far as being a sergeant, being a president, and anything I can do to bring the club to the 21st century here. Keep going.
The chapter is that chapter of group is very well represented. You got a great bunch of guys. Politics. If you have a couple group cars, are there discounts for your own members? You don't have to answer that. What I want to know is when car committee drops down the hammer on you and tells you, you know what, you got 6 months, you got to paint your car. And then that client member, customer comes out and just says, well, it's at Freight Train. He's had it for 4 months. It's not my fault. I went the right way, right? And I was referred to go to him, so to speak. Does the club get on you and say, hey, man, what's going to happen here with this car?
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely be talked about and, bring it up.
But they don't mix business?
No, not really like that. It's more of a, hey, what can we do to help? Do you need some, you need a financial, you need parts? What would you need to speed up the process? They asked me, they asked
We need to get
the
that
person.
premier car out of you.
Yeah, exactly. You got to I was like, get that damn premier car out of here. No, no, they're really understanding, but I generally don't have that problem. I kind of get the cars in and out the way that they're supposed to. I'm not saying I haven't been awarded in paint jail, but I'm saying we get them done in a timely manner. So when it comes to the club saying, hey, the car's been at your shop for X amount of months, when are you guys getting to it? I just finished this prospects Jose's car, and we've been working on it off and on because it needed a lot of metal repair work. But the politics about it, I understand the car has to get done, so no one has to tell me that it's got to be done in a timely manner when it comes to our club. But in our club, you don't get a discount. The discount is the hours that I put into it. You're definitely get more hours out of it. But as far as the pay is always going to be the same, because I can't say, this guy's getting a discount just because of this. If this guy's paying up, his car should look just as good as the next guy, and I don't look at, jobs as well. This guy only wanted to pay this much, so I'm only doing this amount of work. Every car comes out of my shop has to be the same. You know, you can be able to park your car right next to the other person. The devil's in the details. If they're paying more, then yeah, your belly's gonna look like the hood. Then yeah, that's definitely more money. But as far as the outside of the car, it's always going to be the same. You know, it's always the detail work that costs more money. The door jambs, the trunk, the belly, the firewall, the dash. Those are all other aspects that will cost you more money. But when you're like, say, if he's in the club, I might, do a little finessing on the dash or something for him, stuff like that. But as far as money, as the taco guy needs his money, and I need some tacos. So,
Yeah,
you know,
that's well said. Joey, so your business, your work business was in Riverside. You've built cars for a long time. Just way before Premier, you've been in the cars. So when you want to select a painter, I mean, you knew the area where he's at out there, but is there something you saw that he did, or how did you guys come together to do
Well,
this?
we have a mutual friend,
Yeah.
same as Carlos,
Okay.
and Carlos is big in the cars as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so Carlos kind of introduced me to Cesar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started going to the shop, talking to him about things that he did a motorcycle for me. And I've seen some of his work.
Mm-hmm.
And although he didn't have a whole array of different types of lowrider patterns, I liked the way he was talking about, incorporating kind of an old school kind of a theme to the car. And I thought, yeah, it's going to work out pretty good. And plus, he needed some concrete in the back of his shop. Me being a concrete contractor, we did a little horse trading.
Oh, that's cool. Concrete, right? And as I said before, so that's like a $65,000 paint job. Then we traded concrete, right? The way it is today. Oh, that's really cool. Um, you paint all kinds of varieties of different cars. So you come into a shop. I mean, you get the hookup. Obviously, we've heard of Painter's Jail. And when you chose him, you had to look over the shop and wonder what's going on here and what his reference is. Are cars coming in, cars coming out? I mean, you guys even trade. So I don't know who makes out at the end. I'm not here to be the judge on that. But as far as Painter's Jail and the way things go with management and money situations, it goes both ways because there are two stories to Painter's Jail because painters need to get their own bail bonds too because sometimes they don't get paid enough, right? Or they don't, all they get is a deposit. And then they change, oh, now I want a candy red. You know what? I want a little flake. Now I want this. Well, it's going to cost that. It's going to cost this. Guess what? I found this. It's coming up. I need to change this. This is what the price is going to be. And a lot of that takes place in the shops. You say you wanted to be vocal about that whole phrase about body shop and paint, that
yeah.
it's got a bad name for it.
Yeah, like I said, the painters get a bad rap and they talk about paint gel, and like you said, a lot of things do come up in this business. It's upsell. That's what you do. Is like I do a car and I shave the firewall. Well, guess what? The next guy, he wants his firewall shaved, and that guy wants. So instead of finishing this car, now I'm doing 3 firewalls. So that's what you got to explain to a customer. Well, now I'm doing this. This is more work you're adding, so it's going to take more time. And that goes for say now 3 cars, not just one person. There's 3 cars. I understand it. Every person is worried about their cars, but the painter has more than one car that they gotta work on. So exactly, it's the biggest problem I think in paint gel is people don't charge enough for their work. And so what happens is, they're trying to rob Peter to pay Paul because, they didn't realize how much time it really takes to get into it. There's a lot of times you do eat a lot of hours, but you still got to persevere. You still got to put out the good product. You still got to come through. So a lot of times, people don't see that painters are working at 10, 12, 15 hours. That's what I work, work in the middle of the night, working 24 hours, just like in this business. If everything goes right, you might make a buck. But if a fly lands on your paint job, guess what? There goes a couple days, So you gotta, people gotta understand, take this into consideration that, there are aspects of this job that it's all hand done. It's not out of a computer and you can't Google it.
I think in my experience, because I did a little bit of body work, blocking a car. My my brother's Nino was into construction. My grandfather was into in cement. and I've never seen anything more than cement kill you, kill a person. I mean, it ages you. It's the hardest labor job you could ever imagine, especially in concrete, right? The next one has to be body work before the paint, all the sculpturing and everything. Those are the two hardest jobs ever. And people don't understand that. I don't see, I might see these guys driving Bentleys, but there's not a lot of painters out there that drive Bentleys,
Yeah.
let alone have a nice car. But you are flying group colors. So what do you have?
I got a 76 Glass House Caprice that I painted. I did the metalwork. Actually, I got it out of a field in Paris. And it was, when I took my wife there, she's like, the hell is this thing? No chrome, no glass, no nothing. And I seen it done already. When I saw it on offer up for sale, I was like, oh, I gotta have it, and they probably were looking at me like I'm crazy driving in the middle of the field, towing a car out, next thing you know, man, I painted it blue. I had Zeke McPeak do the silver leafing on it. So it's silver leaf, shaved door handles, tube grill, beautiful car. And yeah, so I have a 66 that I was working on when I got the glass house. I'm like, I got to make this club car. This was the one.
How did you come up with freight train for a body shop
Yeah,
paint?
Freight Train Customs, my shop. What's funny is I worked out of my house for about 10 years and it's right next to the railroad tracks. So I lived next to the train my whole life. So that's where a lot of my influence comes for painting is graffiti. I I've been tagging on trains since sixth grade, probably, probably earlier than that. And yeah, that's
Did you know this before you went
No,
to
I
it?
didn't.
Oh God.
well, you would see it. I think that's where a lot of my influence comes is from the graffiti world. I lived next to a train my whole life. I grew up with all these kids, and graffiti was our life. Probably growing up in junior high into high school, man. And so I was never very talented as graffiti. My brother was, but a lot of my friends were excellent artists, which is a lot of the murals you'll see in Riverside are done by graffiti artists that I went to high school with. Give a shout out to Drama. We're all pulling for you. As a friend of ours, he's a muralist in Riverside, and he's in the hospital right now, and he's having a rough time. So he's doing good though. He's in good spirits, but he's a big influence in our city. But that's who influenced me was all this graffiti artists. Just the paint, the contrast, the boldness, the message behind it, and the overall like outlaw about it, the whole outlaw spirit of it, that really got to me where it's like, you can make your mark in this world, you don't have to have money, you don't have to have this high education, but you can make your mark in this world one way or another, and by seeing that as a kid, really, really influenced me, just seeing just the all over the world, trains would come by and I would just take pictures and they would park at night and we would just ride on them all night. And that's what we did for fun, so it's full circle now coming back and now painting cars like so the colors is what really stands out to me.
There's a lot of artistry down that way in the district, downtown in Riverside, talking about graffiti. A lot of art exhibits. The culture. I mean, the Inland Empire culture. Now we're going to talk about San Bernardino and a lot of cities that are around there. But then you take off to a little bit farther south and east, you get into Riverside. That's a little world by itself now, especially now that there's cruising. And I know everybody just takes off just to get away and they'll travel about an hour up to 91, or they're going to head on down to 15 and they go over to just kick back. Everybody's really laid back and they appreciate what's going on. So, and it hasn't ever been like that because it's all mostly all just too hot. And if it's not too hot, it's too much desert. But it has come a long ways now. So you being a resident of that area, how has it changed for you, especially when it comes to lowriding?
Oh, it's been great. Where I live downtown is 5 minutes from my house. Um, every weekend there's just cruising from Corona all the way to Mount Vernon Street. Mount Vernon has a nice cruise on Sunday, and people from all over the Inland Empire and Orange County and LA come and just want to be part of it. It's a beautiful place now. I mean, it definitely had its hard times going up, and it's right there on the border of San Bernardino and Colton, but people cruise from Corona to Mount Vernon almost every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so it's a beautiful thing. And being in this city, I've really seen it like flourish really, really big time in the last 10 years. And there's actually a Tuxie's Car Show, which is right down the street from my house, and it's been going on for about 40 years. Second Friday of every month. I've been going there riding my bike since I was a little kid, and now to taking cars there. And that cruise night has always been like the old farts racing would throw it on, so a lot of muscle cars and hot rods, but there was always be lowriders, Volkswagens, and every walks of life would be there. So it was always a melting pot, which is 5 minutes from my, not even 5 minutes from my house, growing up. So when I finish the car, I take it there and have the old timers come and look at it and then give me the sign of approval. So that's why in our city is it's, they see it progressing. We see a lot
Hot rods down there, right?
yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
just because of the lowrider cruising scene, everybody knows what they have and they don't go out there to ruin it, because it only takes a few guys to go and blow it, and then up comes the borders and the cops, and no more cruising, no more lowriders. Everybody pretty much understands what they had and they don't take it for granted. Everybody protects it and behaves and polices it.
Yeah, especially like I said, the cruise night at Tuxie's. They were old farts used to throw it. Now they all retired, so it's just organic. People just show up to go cruising. There's no vendors. There's just Tuxie's tacos, pretty much, and it's just everyone getting together every second Friday and just hanging out with, they bring their friends, everyone brings their friends, and there's really no problems. And I think it's just because people are trying to get out and relax, and they take the drive and they clear their head. So when they come to the Inland Empire, they're not met with, aggression or dirty looks or any of that. It's more welcoming. They want to see, they want to show off our city, see how great it is, especially from in Riverside. Like all the murals, people are taking pictures by them, so they understand that the art scene is really big in Riverside, and the Chicano culture in general is really accepted in Riverside and all in Empire. Corona, because the muralists, they're working in Corona, to Fontana, to San Bernardino, to Colton. All these cities are really embracing, the Chicano culture.
What are the, I know that there's a lot of chapters all over the place. So when you talk about Inland Empire, the groups out that way, the cliques out that way, a lot of car clubs are out that way because of chapters. But how about original car clubs that kind of started from the Inland chapter?
Oh yeah,
The
there's
Pharaohs, I remember that back then. Name
yeah.
some of those clubs.
Yeah, the Furrows they're still out there representing. Another car club is Riverside Car Club, that they're fairly new, but they have some really beautiful cars out there. Um, Another one is the Side Effects. They're original. They've been around for a long time. Really, a lot of people from Side Effects are in a lot of different clubs because they kind of went away for a while, but now a lot of those guys are coming back. And I see the Lowrider Alliance is really putting a lot of shows going on, so you get a lot of clubs together, and it's like a lot of brotherhood, a real family atmosphere that people love to come and just experience it all. And then a couple other clubs that oh man, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name. A friend of mine's dad, he's been a part of that club for a long time, and there's quite a bit of clubs when you go to the shows. There's no shortage of clubs there for sure.
Joey, how about for you? You've been lowriding for a long, long time. Lots of lowriders. We didn't even talk about the ones before you got into all of this. Obviously, you're still 100% full blast, and you just busted out with this. I know that you have another car down the line you're going to jump into eventually, but how's lowriding changed for you? And it's a roller coaster going down that boulevard of our lives. It's up and down. It's a struggle. Damn, it costs a lot more. You might have to get back into concrete again to afford it. But how has it changed for you, lowriding today?
Well, it has changed. I've been into low riding since the early 70s. Growing up in Pomona, my friends in the neighborhood, gangs were kind of coming in. We were kind of falling into the gang kind of life, but there were a few of us who used to who took good pride in our cars, and we kind of not really drifted away, but we kind of got away from some of the gang stuff, and we started taking more care of our cars and going out, and we started a little club called Traffic, and the direction of Traffic at the time was not going in the right direction. There were a lot of homies that were getting in the club and they were still in the gang life. But it was one night we went to Whittier Boulevard. It was on a Sunday. Me and a couple of guys got off on Atlantic off the 60, seeing a glass house, paper plates, just locked up in the front. It was a whole different experience. Getting to the boulevard was crowded, and this is, wow, this is pretty cool. These guys are different over here. We've seen you guys out there, Imperials and Chevy Boys, all those old clubs, and so we kind of started taking care of our cars. Then, then what happens? Disco comes in. A lot of the guys get
Mhm.
sports cars. We all went out that way. Then we kind of got back into low riding. And when I got back into low riding, I have some friends from Imperials. I got in Imperials and stayed in Imperials for about 10 years. And politics came in. A couple of us said, hey, you know what? Let's start our new thing. So we started Premier.
And low riding today.
Low
I mean, you're
riding,
still at it.
still at it. We're a very traditional club. We still sandcast our plaques, 520s, hydraulics, and I know we don't go in for a lot of the other things that a lot of the clubs are doing right now. We're still traditional, but low riding, it's gotten a lot more expensive now, and sometimes it's hard to start thinking about another car when you're thinking that, oh my God, I'm going to spend 40,000 on a paint job, 20 on interior, 30 on interior, whatever. And the bar is a lot higher now. So it's cost a lot of money chasing another car if that's what you're going to do.
Low riding's too expensive now. It comes to a point, especially with the economy the way it is today. Not just the gas, food, everything. Every time you go to lunch, it's $20. Try and build a low rider.
Yeah.
Try and build a low rider. I don't care if it takes 2-3 years to get it painted. It's still going to take a lot of money. And they always say, oh, low riders don't pay. Well, we do. But it's getting to a point where everything is so expensive now, it's hard to build one. I mean, what used to take you 3 years, maybe 5 years, depending, is probably double that right now. Especially materials are going up your way.
Chrome the way
Everything.
it is.
And we forgot about all of that. The materials cost more than the damn labor on a paint job. We have to give shout outs here before we come close to an end now. Shout outs, who in your life was a mentor to you and got you to where you're at today? Cesar.
Well,
Cesar.
like that list, it could get a little long. I mean, I'm really grateful for the city I grew up in, and like I said, I mentioned a lot of people around me. I mean, in our city, we have, um, we got Zeke McPeak, we got Mike Lamerson, we got El Jefe Jeff Roberts, we got E Dog the pinstriper painter. Um, we got Herb Weber, the paint teacher that I've known for 30 years, and rest in peace, Wild Bill. And all those people were in like a 10-mile radius of my shop. So I've been fortunate to grow up in this city and learn from a lot of the veterans. He mentioned our buddy Chuck Carlos. Um, Anyone that knows lowriding in Riverside, they will know Carlos. He's one of the originals. He's the guy I take to when I have a car and it's done. I take it right to Carlos and say, "Hey, what do you think?" When Joey's was done, I called Carlos and said, "Hey, you think Joey will like it? Come check us out." So Carlos is a big influence, I think, on both of us, and then a lot of people in our city. And as far as like painters are concerned, I mean, my favorite is Walt Prey. Walt Prey is one of the most talented painters I've ever seen, and probably the godfather of that would be Bill Carter. He worked at a Bill Carter shop. I mean, probably everything that's been done this day, you can trace it back to Bill Carter. The fingerprinting, the fades, like all that stuff has been done before. So it's real important to study these old paint jobs, read up on the old painters and get your influences, because like I said, it's about, like, it turns out to like handwriting when you're doing it. So you kind of mimic some of your influences, and Bill Carter would be one of them.
You never got a push broom and worked at one of the shops
Oh yeah.
just to learn? Because
Yeah.
that's how they all started. Because you have Watson, here comes Bill Carter, Mario, Candy
Yeah.
Factory comes in. He raised them like a son. You have Walt right there. It's all like one big giant family, man. And everybody pretty much does what they were taught. Yeah, I mean, they
Mhm.
still nothing's really changed that much. That's why when I saw this paint job, the dynamics and it was just right, just tasteful. And I'm very happy that it was able to premiere here in the studio, the way I look at it. For you, any mentors? Anybody else you want to give a
mentor-
shout out to?
My dad, but first Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I've been a Christian for 35 years now. And I believe that the direction that I was going back then, it'd be a whole different story, But as far as mentors, I tell you who got me into club life in appearance was the Melendez brothers, Gil and Frank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were the ones that got me into Imperials, and they kind of got me back into really low riding. My cars prior were all 62s, but they were stock. And at that time is when I started getting hydraulics and paint jobs.
The Melendez brothers were in everything, weren't they? Still are. Still are. Just gotta hope Gil gets a little bit more healthier and stronger because he's always yelling at Frank because he eats too much. But other than that, it was a pleasure having you both here. I thought it was a perfect combo. We just did a paid podcast, but when it comes to the Inland Empire and painters and everybody you just mentioned, I know all them guys and they're all great guys. Giving them credit from right here, I know you paint with a gun, but from right here, you're set pretty well with all those teachers. You got a good atmosphere out there happening in Riverside, but mostly the IE and being from the group also was another reason why I thought, got to get you in here. And then painting other car clubs, especially Premier, painting other car clubs' cars is a great thing. And the way things are going today with social media, there's so much hate within everybody. It's good that different car clubs go and they support other paint shops and get their cars painted. I thought that this would be a good combo. Also bringing Joey in here was a good chance, showcase his car. It couldn't have been a better podcast. You guys have anything else to say?
Yeah, just about other car clubs is it's a brotherhood in this car community. So, if you have any kind of hangups with car clubs, it's we need each other in these days. So, make amends, and everyone should be on the same page and pushing for each other.
Same boulevard, same
That's
name,
right.
north, south, east, or west. Just stay on it. Just know your lane is all we have to do, right?
That's right.
And we'll keep on going and see what next car you build. All righty, everybody. The Inland Empire Premier Car Club. I am Joe Ray. This is the Wired Down Show. Thanks for having us on. Thanks for watching. See you next Friday.